Hello! Welcome to my channel, Inside Information. The story of the Titanic's tragic sinking on April 15, 1912, is one of history's most dramatic and well-documented maritime disasters. Though writing a full 10,000-word article would take more space than we have here, I can summarize the event in detail and explain the key reasons for the sinking. Let's dive into an overview of the Titanic, its ill-fated voyage, and the causes behind its sinking. Overview of Titanic. The RMS Titanic was a British passenger liner operated by the White Star Line, and at the time of its maiden voyage, it was the largest and most luxurious ship ever built. Designed by experienced shipbuilders and engineers, the Titanic was hailed as an engineering marvel, often referred to as unsinkable, due to its advanced safety features, including watertight compartments and remotely activated watertight doors. The ship was 882 feet long, had a gross tonnage of 46,328 tons, and could carry around 2,224 passengers and crew. The maiden voyage. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic embarked on its first voyage from Southampton, England, to New York City. The ship was carrying some of the wealthiest people in the world, as well as hundreds of emigrants seeking a new life in North America. The voyage was divided into different classes, first, second, and third, which reflected the societal divisions of the time. The wealthy enjoyed lavish accommodations and services, while the third-class passengers traveled in much more modest conditions. On April 14, 1912, after 4 days of smooth sailing, the Titanic received multiple iceberg warnings from other ships. However, the ship maintained its speed of 22.5 knots, just under the top speed of 24 knots. The reasoning behind this has been a subject of debate. Some believe it was to set a transatlantic speed record, while others suggest it was simply to ensure an on-time arrival in New York. The collision with the iceberg. At around 11:40 p.m. on April 14th, the lookout spotted an iceberg dead ahead. Despite attempts to steer away from the iceberg and reverse the engines, the Titanic collided with it on the starboard right side. The iceberg tore through 5 of the ship's 16 watertight compartments, and although the ship was designed to stay afloat with 4 compartments breached, 5 was too many. Water quickly began flooding the lower levels of the ship. The sinking captain, Edward Smith, ordered the lifeboats to be uncovered and passengers to be alerted. However, the Titanic had lifeboats for only about half the people on board, a reflection of outdated maritime regulations that did not require enough lifeboats for all passengers on a ship as large as the Titanic. Furthermore, many of the lifeboats were launched half full, as there was confusion and reluctance among passengers and crew about the severity of the situation. Women and children were given priority in boarding, which left many men and crew members to perish. As the bow of the ship sank deeper into the water, the stern lifted higher into the air, until finally, at approximately 2:20 a.m., the Titanic broke apart and sank into the freezing Atlantic Ocean. Reasons for the sinking. Several factors contributed to the Titanic's sinking. 1. Iceberg warnings ignored. The Titanic received multiple warnings of icebergs in the area, yet the ship continued at a high speed. This has been seen as a critical error, especially given the calm seas and clear skies, which made it harder to detect icebergs. 2. Design flaws. Though the Titanic was designed with advanced safety features, it was not equipped to handle a breach in 5 watertight compartments. The bulkheads separating these compartments did not extend high enough to prevent water from spilling over into other areas of the ship. 3. Insufficient lifeboats. The ship carried only 20 lifeboats, enough for just 1,178 people, despite there being over 2,200 people on board. This shortage proved disastrous, as many passengers and crew had no means of escape. 4. Poor emergency response. The crew had not been properly trained for an emergency of this scale, and the evacuation process was chaotic. Lifeboats were launched without being filled to capacity, and the distress signals were sent out late, reducing the chance of a timely rescue. 5. Material weakness. Some modern analyses suggest that the steel used in the Titanic's construction was brittle in cold temperatures, making it more susceptible to damage during the collision with the iceberg. 6. Failure of nearby ships to respond. The closest ship, the SS Californian, did not come to the Titanic's aid, even though it was within sight. There is speculation that the Californian's radio operator had turned off his equipment for the night and thus did not hear the distress calls. Aftermath and legacy. Of the 2,224 people on board, over 1,500 lost their lives in the icy waters of the North Atlantic. Many died from hypothermia rather than drowning, as the water temperature was below freezing. Only 705 people were rescued by the RMS Carpathia, which arrived at the scene hours later. The sinking of the Titanic led to significant changes in maritime safety regulations. The International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, was established in 1914, mandating that ships carry enough lifeboats for all passengers, conduct regular lifeboat drills, and maintain 24-hour radio watch. The tragedy also captured the public's imagination and has been immortalized in books, films, and songs, ensuring that the legacy of the Titanic endures. Conclusion. The sinking of the Titanic was a complex disaster, resulting from a combination of human error, design flaws, and bad luck. While the ship was a symbol of technological progress and luxury, its fate became a harsh reminder of the dangers of hubris and the need for better safety standards in an era of rapid industrialization. This tragedy not only changed the course of maritime history, but also remains one of the most poignant stories of the 20th century.